Around the Chickasaw neighborhood devastated after an early morning fire today. 2 people, including a young child, died. Another adult was critically hurt. Our Isaiah Kim Martinez is there now with what we've learned. Isaiah?
Hey, Brooke. Yeah, tragic news here for this community, and it stretches beyond this street of the Chickasaw neighborhood. This is a family, from what we understand from neighbors we've spoken to all day, that have come up to the home itself. It seems to be that these were refugees from the Congo specifically, so African refugees. We do know that there are many other friends and family members also from the same country who communicate consistently, and they were the ones who showed up today both to pay their condolences and in some ways just find out what was happening. Obviously limited info up until just a few minutes ago. I do want to step out of the way. We can't give you too close of a look right now, but you can see just some of the outlines of that home. It doesn't look too bad from afar, but if you look closely, you see some of the singed windows, some of the broken out glass. I want to go over some of the new information we got here today from Bobby Cooper from the Louisville Metro Fire Department. He says the fire originated in the front living room on the first floor. That is what they believe. Although there's still no official cause right now, it appears, according to LFD, that the fire was accidental. They say it appears it first started with what they call combustibles near a space heater, or a space heater malfunctioning or breaking altogether. Obviously, it's been very cold overnight, and the age of the victims right now, we do know an adult and a child were both killed in this fire. We know a third person, an adult, is in the hospital in critical condition. As for the age of that the age of the child themselves, right now they're saying the victim was described, or is described, as a young school-age child. As for the fire chief himself, he just spoke to the gravity of this situation.
This is a terrible tragedy. We share that tragedy throughout the community. Not only from our side, from the emergency responders, from the dispatcher that took the call, that feels a little helpless as they're trying to send units to help, to the EMS members that showed up, to the Metro Police members that help us, and then the firefighters that actually were there, that made the entry, that brought those people out in an attempt to save their lives. It's very, very difficult. It's very painful. So all I can say is, in the spirit of the holiday season, yeah, look out for one another.
And that's Fire Chief Brian O'Neill you just heard from there. He spoke to us this morning. He did confirm that the home has smoke detectors, had it in this situation. Neighbors even told me off camera that they heard those go off first before seeing fire officials report to the scene. But as for, again, the specific cause, we do not know that. We do know that fire officials believe that this is likely to have started in the front of the first floor living room of that 2-story home. Brooke?
Such a sad and tragic situation. Stay connected with us as we continue to learn more about this developing story. We'll continue to be there throughout the afternoon there in the Chickasaw neighborhood, and you can download the WHAS11 app for the latest push alerts directly to your phone. A warehouse fire in the California neighborhood left smoke hovering over downtown Louisville Sunday. This was the scene at the 800 block of 15th Street. Fire crews say it happened just after 2 in the afternoon, saying it almost took an hour to gain control of the flames. No one was hurt in this fire, though Louisville Fire did say this is not the first time they've responded to that location.
According to Louisville Fire Prevention, this is actually listed as a dangerous location. We have actually made multiple fire incidents inside this structure.
Arson officials are currently working to determine the cause of that fire as well. Today, the man charged with trying to kill a Louisville police officer in the Chickasaw neighborhood will appear before a judge. A grand jury indicted Dominique Thompson in the incident that critically injured Officer Brandon Haley. LMPD said Thompson fired shots from inside of a home near 38th and Kentucky back on September 7th. Body camera video showed Haley getting out of his car to question 2 suspects when he's hit in the chest. Another officer is then seen dragging him out of the line of fire. Thompson's facing several charges, including attempted murder of a police officer and assault. He is due in court today at 2:30. The grand jury also indicted 2 other suspects connected to that incident. Jaquan Ransom is charged with illegally possessing a gun and resisting arrest, while Jamon Groves is facing gun charges and trespassing. Groves is expected to be arraigned today at 2 o'clock, with Ransom following at 2:30. Also today, the trial begins for the man charged with killing a customer in a Louisville Olive Garden. Metro Police say Devon Briggs shot 25-year-old Jose Munoz back in February of 2019 in the Okolona restaurant. Munoz died at the hospital. Court documents show both men had gotten into an argument before Briggs pulled out a gun. He's charged with murder, but his attorney claims it was in self-defense. COVID-19 concerns pushed that trial back several times from its original 2020 start date. Metro Police are investigating a homicide on South 25th Street in the California neighborhood. Police responded to that area on Saturday around noon. The person has not been identified and no one's been arrested. But if you know something, you can call that anonymous tip line at 574 LMPD. It is the push for a law to get guns out of the hands of those in crisis and prevent tragedies like the one Louisville experienced back on April 10th. On December 15th, a caravan of people affected by gun violence will make their way to Frankfort to advocate for a bill that'll be on the table early next year. Marianne Elliott, the widow of Tommy Elliott, will be one of them in support of that bill she believes would reduce mass shootings like the one who killed her husband nearly 8 months ago. Our senior reporter Isaiah Kim Martinez back with us to explain.
To our knowledge, Marianne Elliott has only spoken once publicly about the tragedy that's altered her life forever.
When 4 bullet holes ripped through my husband's body.
The day after Independence Day, Elliott talked about the Old National Bank shooting at a community meeting circled around curbing gun violence.
But I know that I have to do something. I just don't know exactly what that is.
It appears she's now found that plan of action.
Do you believe testimony December 15th can make the difference?
I think it's going to be a really powerful moment.
That's Whitney Austin, a well-known Louisville advocate for gun safety. She and Elliott will be among a large group headed to Frankfort in 2 weeks to support CAR, a highly anticipated 2024 bill in front of Kentucky lawmakers. The bill, standing for Crisis Aversion and Rights Retention, is seen as a middle ground version of a red flag law. It would allow law enforcement to temporarily seize a person's gun if a judge deems them in crisis and a risk to themselves or others.
Balance both sides, public safety, personal safety, as well as the Second Amendment.
Austin survived being shot 12 times in a shooting that killed 3 people at Fifth Third Bank headquarters in Cincinnati back in 2018. She and Elliott have since forged a close bond.
There's something that's very powerful with a voice like hers. She wants to participate and raise her voice. My role is just to support her.
The CAR bill's sponsor, Republican Senator Whitney Westerfield, telling me this week he'll introduce a couple different versions at the committee hearing in 2 weeks.
It's my hope that every legislator draws on whatever inspiration that they need to draw on to keep an open mind and find a way to make the solution better.
But it's expected to be met with strong pushback from some Republicans on that same committee, some of whom may hold the votes Westerfield will need to flip to get this passed next year. Isaiah Kim Martinez, WHAS11 on your side.
Let's take a closer look now. The red flag law differs from other states because the person would have to appear in court to determine the order. The judge could then turn that temporary order to a crisis aversion and rights retention order, which cannot last more than a year, but it is renewable if needed. The person with that court order against them can ask the court to end it in a hearing every 90 days. Workers at Sunnergoss Coffee have reached their first contract agreement after a week on the picket line. The contract came after months of negotiations. That agreement includes major improvements like raising the starting pay from $8.25 to $10 an hour, removal of wage caps that would previously have held down wages for experienced baristas, and a just cause protection that ensures workers cannot be fired on an inconsistent or unfair basis. It also allows additional paid days off, including sick time, bereavement, and new child leave. Sunnergoss workers voted to form a union back in January. Union baristas will review that tentative settlement this week and vote on approval. Today, members of the community have a chance to share their thoughts about the ongoing One Park development. We've been talking about this project for about 4 years now, and that'll continue at a public meeting today. It's a planned high-rise development near Cherokee Park at Lexington Road and Grinstead Drive. It'll include hundreds of apartments, condos, and a hotel. Metro Council approved One Park South back in 2019, and One Park North, set to be located just across the street, got approval earlier this year. Neither have begun construction. Today's meeting meeting is to hear input from the public, more specifically neighbors in that high traffic area. That public meeting happens tonight at 6 o'clock in room 101 at the Metro Development Center. That's at 444 South 5th Street. You can also join virtually, and we'll have that link posted to you with this story on WHAS11.com.